So we finally got our studio set up a little bit. We got wood paneling, faux wood paneling. We got big fat, big red. We got lights and
props.
Props are the most important thing. All right, welcome to Broadlines, where we actually now have a studio and props and a chalkboard to tongue and trends and stats and all sorts of props that you probably can't read, but we're going to point at them anyway because I have a pointer and Bob's got his papers. First up, we're going to start with the Patriots and the Chiefs. We got a 3-point line. To me, that's a little bit surprising. To me, to you maybe as well. Because I think the Chiefs should be better than a push on a neutral field. They're like historically good. This is a down year for the Patriots, and yet here we are. We have some weather concerns. I have some one-seed trends that I think are working against the Chiefs. Meanwhile, I think the public generally favors the Chiefs. We also have a declining over-under from 59 down to...
You can do a lot with that thing, yeah.
You can do a hell of a whole lot with these things. Down to 55.5. So a lot to talk about. Give me your high-level thoughts on the game. I could start with mine. On paper and on film and with the eye test, I don't think the Patriots have enough speed to keep up with the Chiefs. That much is obvious. Yet somehow they're going to have to pick their poison. They've historically done a good job against Travis Kelce. They got smoked by Tyreek Hill. I think he scored 4 touchdowns in their last two. I think it's 4 in their last 2 games. For me, I kind of like Sammy Watkins because Bill Belichick's going to have to pick his poison. Watkins might be the guy that just by osmosis goes uncovered. Still, I generally like some of the trends favoring the Patriots. Give me your high-level thoughts on the game.
Yeah, I think that a lot of this has to do with experience. The Patriots have played 38 postseason games since 2001. They're 28-10. This is their 13th time in the AFC Championship game. They've been there 8 straight years. So when you look at the Patriots' experience, I think that that's the most dangerous component of this. And when they get into these games, these high-stakes games, they've been phenomenal. They've probably been arguably the best team in history in this spot. And so that would be my concern for the Chiefs, who won their first playoff game since 1993 last week. So when you look at it, can Patrick Mahomes in his second start take on a guy that's going to be making his 39th postseason start?
So one of the big stories there involving, when we start talking about Brady, is the weather, okay? So we have initial reports of temperatures in the teens, in the single digits, I think below freezing wind chill. Turns out not the case. You're not going to believe this. Guess what the temperature has done since the initial reports? What direction?
I think it's going up.
It went up, right? Guess what happened to the over-under, as we discussed? Went down. So we had a line. So first sign of value here, you had an over-under that started at 59, it's gone down to 55.5. It's coming back up a little bit. I think there's a little bit of value there. Part of that is because of the weather. There's still a lot of weather-related trends. It's going to be a cold game. It's going to be below freezing. We're going to be in the 20s, most likely like 22 to 24. I have some trends about Tom Brady and visitors in cold temperatures in the playoffs and overall. Tom Brady is 26-14-1 when it's freezing. He's 8-2 when it's freezing as a visitor. In the playoffs, road teams are 27-23-1 against the spread when it's freezing. Road underdogs are 24-20 against the spread when it's freezing. And here's one working against the Chiefs. 1 seeds when it's freezing. So the home team in the playoffs are 9-13 against the spread. So every weather-related trend, and oh, by the way, experience in Tom Brady, favors either Tom Brady or goes against the Chiefs when it comes to the weather.
Yeah, there's 2 things that really concern me with the Patriots, or really taking the Chiefs in this situation. When it's 25 and under, as it will be this week, the Patriots have won 8 of their last 10 games, and their offense has been explosive. They're averaging over 30 points per game in these extreme cold weather conditions. They're 5-0 in their last 5 playoff games when it's 25 and under, and in their last 10 games, the Patriots have outscored their opponents 305 to 179 when it's 25 degrees or below.
You know what that doesn't bode well for? Big Red. So, I think we're in agreement. All of the weather-related trends favor New England, right? I got a couple more that favor New England. General. I don't like to look at the trends and go by this team has done this. I think with the Patriots, they're one of the few teams you can because you have a coach and a quarterback that is consistent, right? So you can kind of over the last 10 to 15 years, you could look at Patriots trends and say, okay, there's something here.
Yeah,
Well,
you're
you
not
can't do
working
that
with a
with
small
team like
sample size here either.
Absolutely,
You're
it's a
talking
big
about
sample size.
almost a 40-game sample.
But for something like the Chiefs, you can't look and say, oh, historically the Chiefs has done this, so we're going to go ahead and take their seeding, right? So check this out. 1 seeds that are averaging over 30 points per game are 7-15 against the spread in the playoffs. Teams that are averaging over 30 points per game in general, pretty similar, 16-23 against the spread in the playoffs. And teams that are averaging over 400 yards during the regular season are 13-20 against the spread in the playoffs. So what does this tell you? This tells you really good high-scoring teams during the regular season typically struggle against the spread in the playoffs. So now you have a team in the Patriots where all the weather-related factors are working in their favor. And oh, by the way, you got a high-scoring 1 seed, and we're going to see this in the Saints-Rams game as well. A high-scoring 1 seed typically doesn't do that well against the spread. So when you look at this line and you think, all right, it's only 3 points, I think the Chiefs are a lot better than that. It's a home game, it's a tough place to play. You're playing against the GOAT, first of all, in both the quarterback and the coach. And every single trend that I have here, and that we could find, quite frankly, works in the favor of the Patriots. Tell me I'm crazy to take them outright.
Well, I'll give you one more that is of concern to me as well if I'm backing the Chiefs in this game. The Patriots are in a situation where obviously we've talked about the experience now. If you just go back and look at the NFL, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, trend that worked really well for us. Quarterbacks making their first start in the postseason have really struggled, really over the last 20 years or so. Now, if you look at what we have now with the championship games, quarterbacks making their first championship game start going up against a quarterback who has been there, they've struggled. They're 6-12 in that spot since the year 2000. They're 5-4 in the NFC, but they're 1-8 in the AFC. And the only guy to do it was Tom Brady in his first AFC Championship start. He had beaten Cordell Stewart. And so that's the only guy that's done it. Brady against guys making their first start in this game, he's 4-0. So it's a pretty troubling trend if you're a Chiefs fan. But I trust Andy Reid, damn it. I trust him. I do.
Get the belly button.
And there are a couple of different reasons that I trust him. And we can talk about trends, and I'll throw out a couple in a minute. But there are concerns here if you're a Patriots fan. I mean, it's not all gravy. One thing that really does concern me is much experience.
By the way, we haven't said one, so give them to me.
Yeah, I mean, as much as you look at the success that the Patriots have had in the postseason, they have not been great on the road. They're 3-4 in natural road games. If you go neutral fields as well with the Super Bowl, they're only 8-7. They're 6-9 against the spread in those games. So they haven't had wild success outside of Foxborough, where they're 20-3 in the playoffs. That's one thing. Another thing that's worth considering, teams that win by 14 or more points and then play in the championship game the next week at home, 8-0 straight up.
Wow.
Only 4-4 against the spread, but with such a short line in this situation, you at least feel that you're going to get a push on a Kansas City win. I say that, and we'll see if it comes back and bites me in the ass. Right? Yeah, sure. But when you have a team blow out another opponent and then they get to come back at home for the championship game, they haven't lost. And so that would be something that I would definitely lean on if I were a Kansas City fan. You also look at what the Patriots have been away from Foxborough this season. They're averaging 12 points per game less, which is a huge concern. And then I have a couple other things on the board here. You look at yards per play. They're second at home in yards per play. They're 26th in the NFL away from home. That's a concern. Red zone touchdown percentage, 6th at home, 26th on the road. And then defensively, third down conversion percentage for opponents, they're 6th at Foxborough, but 27th away from there. And so they're a completely different team away from home, and that is a concern, especially when you look at the advantage and how well the Chiefs have played at home this season. They're 8-1. It's one of the hardest places in the NFL to play, and I do think that those are all problems for this team.
Yeah, and I don't think you already said this. The Patriots were 3-5 on the road this year, straight up, right? And Tom Brady only has 3 touchdowns and 6 interceptions in 3 career starts at Arrowhead. So not everything necessarily works in the Patriots' favor.
One more thing. Point to this real quick.
Sure.
Can you read that number for me here?
Oh, that one?
That one.
10.
Yeah, 10 and what?
Oh.
Okay, you know what that represents?
I don't.
The home team in championship games the last 5 years.
Wow. Wow.
So, the home team has had a ton of success over the last half decade at home. You look at how poorly they are away from
The home team
Patriots,
at home?
Yeah.
A lot of success at home?
Yeah, a lot of home. So, I just look at this and I feel pretty good about it for those reasons. And I'll really just go back to the first thing that you said. You said, it seems like that Kansas City's a better team. I kind of believe that. And it sort of felt like to me last year that it was the Eagles' time. I've been down this road before with him. I've said it before with him. But I truly kind of just feel like this is it.
And by the way, Big Red versus Bill Belichick, fairly even. As an Eagles fan, we can obviously remember the Super Bowl, and then there was that second game of the season in like 2004, 2005 that were not pretty, but he's had his number a couple times over the last few years. So I don't know. You have a coaching advantage with Bill Belichick, but it's not like he's historically beat up on Andy Reid. We just sort of all remember the Super Bowl.
Yeah, one other thing I want to just address before we move on from this entirely. It's not just that the that the Chiefs are winning at home. It's that they're blowing teams out. 14.8 point per game in the positive. I mean, they're just beating teams by 2 touchdowns on average at home. And as bad as they are considered to be defensively, they actually have limited opponents to about 17 points per game at Arrowhead this season. That's the 3rd best mark in terms of points per game allowed at home this season.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the points per game before we move on to the prop bets. I got a few more here that I couldn't stomach to write on the board. So we talked about the over-under, right? So we had an over-under of 59, right? We mentioned this earlier to start. It went down to about 55.5 in some places. It's now coming a little bit back up as the temperature is coming. Where's my arrow? As the temperature is coming back up, right? Okay, so I got a few things here. It's still going to be cold. We're still going to be in the 20s. So playoff games with an over-under over 45 in freezing weather. The over is only 6-11-1, and when the over-under is over 50, it's only 2-5-1. So even though I think our reaction, trying to be a little bit of sharps, is to go against the public and say this line has been pushed down too far, I'm betting on the over. I'm taking the over here. But you're talking about their offense at home, blowing teams out, cold weather, and then these things, teams that average 30 points, 400 yards, go against good teams in the playoffs. So you have a lot of trends, despite how good they are, you have a lot of trends pushing against the Chiefs. So, this is a tough game to call because you have these sort of high-level trends, and then you have the fact that the Chiefs are really effing good.
Yeah. Just one thing I want to touch on with this is that much like the Eagles, who have been very successful with the underplays when they're at Lincoln Financial Field, it's the same thing for the Chiefs. Under Andy Reid at Arrowhead Stadium, the under is 33-17-1. And what you're finding is really what we've seen this year with this team. Defensively, they're pretty good at home. Actually, if you go back to 2013, they're actually allowing less points per game at home than the Seattle Seahawks do. So that's how good defensively this team has been now for a very large sample of time. And for that reason, because the defense keeps things in check, they don't have to put 38 points on the board to consistently win. And you see the offense kind of, let their foot off the gas a little bit as well. It's been one of the most drastic home-away over-under trends in football over the last half decade. And so that's something that I look at. Though I don't think that the cold is necessarily going to impact this game necessarily, I do wonder about Kansas City's defense. I kind of feel like that they are going to I think they're going to keep Tom Brady in check on Sunday, and for that reason, that's kind of why I like the Chiefs to win the game, and I am a little bit nervous about that total. I know they scored 83 points the first 2 times that they played, and you basically are giving up 3 touchdowns and a field goal less now, and it could still hit the over.
And you're getting a lot of value.
Yeah, you're getting a ton of value there that way.
All right, before we give the picks,
I don't know.
Let's do the props. Do you have any props?
Yeah. Do I have any props for this game? Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I got 3. My wife's calling me. I got 3. All right. First off, you talked a little bit about this. Patriots have a much better running game this year. Okay, to me, for the Patriots to win the game, they can't get into a shootout. Yes, they can score. The Chiefs have a higher octane offense. Their strength is running the ball. I think you're going to see a lot of running and then those sort of short routes to James White. To me, this feels like a James White game. So I am taking 49.5 points at DraftKings is the best prop bet on James White for the over-under. I'm taking over 49.5 receiving yards. That's a lot. That's a lot for a running back. But you're getting good value here. I think it's as high as 54 in some places. Second, I really like this. I'm going to punt on a prop for a second. I like the over. I like the over right here for all the reasons we described. Right now, as of we're recording this on Thursday, your best value on the over is at BetStars, 55.5. It hasn't come up from its lowest point yet. So you get 55.5 on the over. Or if you're at Sugar House, you can actually get the Patriots at 3.5 and the over at 56.5. I like that too. That pays out plus 260. And here's my super punt prop bet. Sammy Watkins, Travis Kelce, and Gronk all to score TDs plus 1,000. I believe that is at Sugar House and DraftKings. I'm going to take that as like a $10 punt. But I love James White in the over, and I love either just taking the over straight up at BetStars or grabbing it where it's parlayed with 3.5 for New England. You get that extra half point, and you get the over 56.5. Those are my plays. I don't know if they win. I think it's going to be a 1-point game. I wouldn't be surprised to see like a 31-30 sort of game. Clip that for next week.
I will. Yeah, that's going to get the check mark.
That's going to get a goddamn check.
I'm a little bit hesitant when it comes to prop bets. I'm not a huge prop guy by nature. I'm not going to pretend to be something I'm not. But I will say this. Tom Brady right now at FanDuel, his over-under passing yards is 290.5. If you go back and look at what he's done historically in recent playoff history, he's eclipsed 290 yards in 10 of his last 12 games. It's minus 115 for the yes. That's the direction that I would go. And I just think that though it doesn't hit the home run, it doesn't pay out huge odds, it's not a lucrative one, just a straight up even odds bet. I like Brady to go over 290.5 yards in this game. I think that they're going to have to throw to move the ball. And, so I expect him to kind of continue to do what he's done in recent history.
All right, so you got to pick on the over-under? Are you taking the under?
I really don't like the side. I'll be honest with you. I think it would be disingenuous to say I love every side of every game. If I had to make a pick, I would probably take the under. I still think I just think that this might be a little bit more of a ball control game. I would do so reluctantly. I wouldn't lock it in, but that would be my lean.
All right, and then on the spread, who are you taking and where?
I like the Chiefs. When the games finished last week, I looked at it. I said, I think I like this game more than any game this postseason. We've been pretty successful so far. I just feel like they're going to win the game by double digits. I really do. I just think this Patriots team is kind of a mirage. I think that you have to respect what they've done, but I just don't think they're that good, and I think it's the Chiefs' time.
All right, I'm taking the Patriots plus 3. You can get them best value right now. Thursday night, they're minus 106 at DraftKings. That is the best value, unless you can get them at 3.5 at, I believe, Sugar House, where you can parlay that with the over-under 56.5. But if you're just betting on the game and you like the Patriots, minus 106 at DraftKings is your best value. All right, and that is, how was that camera turn?
That was good.
All right.
Strong.
That is it for the Patriots and the Chiefs. Be sure to subscribe. We got a lot more betting content coming up on Broadlines. As you can see, we are sort of building out our studio. There's a lot more to come. We expect to have these videos daily for the NBA playoffs, and even Major League Baseball this summer. Right now, we're just getting warmed up. But be sure to hit the subscribe, comment, like button. Whatever you're watching, wherever it is, hit it. Thanks.
Jazz hands.